And we're live. Today's daily reading is from Napoleon Hill's um, eighth and final book called Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. I'm going to read to you from the beginning, from the preface, from Don M. Green, the executive director from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. This is the introduction of the book. And it's very important how Napoleon Hill's philosophy changed over the years from being a young man writing Think and Grow Rich to when he was 84. And this book, Grow Rich with Peace of Mind, was released about how he matured and he valued more wisdom and spirituality. But Think and Grow Rich also um, is basically a book about getting riches and spiritual values as well. This is the preface from Don M. Green, the executive director from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Napoleon Hill, as a youth, was no different from most young people today. He associated with success with money in his early career. He wanted to be important with a display of opulence. People today tend to associate the popular book Think and Grow Rich in terms of money, but Hill's perspective was to change as he matured. Hill remarked in one of his papers that during his early career, when he was receiving large sums of money, he believed it essential that he drive nothing less than a Rolls Royce. He purchased a large estate in New York. He had servants and a variety of other employees to tend to his wants. This extravagant spending prior to the Great Depression of 1929 led to Hill losing his possessions and later on his estate. When Grow Rich with Peace of Mind was published in 1967, Hill was 84 years old. His message had changed. He was much older and much wiser, and he wanted to portray the importance of peace of mind. Hill in Grow Rich and Peace of Mind states as he is trying to help the reader avoid the mistakes he made. As you read the book, perhaps you can learn from Hill's life that many other things besides money and material items are needed in order to truly have peace of mind. You will read of learning from your past, developing a positive mental attitude, living life free of fear, and the importance of sharing your wealth with others. Napoleon had a very interesting life of research, interviews, and writings as to what constitutes success. This final book combines all of his knowledge on living a life with peace of mind. Don M. Green, Executive Director for the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Forward. This is from Napoleon Hill, what he wrote in 1967. The forward to this book, to the introduction. It's very important. It lays the foundation. I began to plan this book in the closing years of the 19th century, and has thus been nearly 70 years in preparation for this book. During those years, I've witnessed more vital changes in the affairs of men than had taken place in all the previous years of history of civilization. I've seen the advent of automobile, the airplane, radio, television, automatic power, the age of space. I've seen electric power spread across the country. Industry rises to levels of production beyond 19th century dreams, science and technology, and enjoy an almost explosive development. I've seen old nations disappear, new nations arise, jungles give way to paved roads, cities burgeon where sleepy villages once stood, and I've seen people adapt themselves to all these changes and to go on right being people just as they have been for uncounted thousands of years. You'll find this book takes cognizance of the changing world. And speaking of power, however, I speak of the forces which always have moved people and always will. We still see that without sufficient money, our lives are hemmed in. So we want success in earning money. And along with money success, we want to be free of fears, nervous tensions, and self-induced illness, worries, and unhappiness. That is, in addition to money success, we seek peace of mind to make our lives complete. While this book may help you win great wealth, it can help you to win peace of mind in abounding measure. As you will see, when we speak of peace of mind, we speak of more than peace as a result, restful state. Peace of mind is at the same time restful and dynamic, or we might say a restful base upon which your life dynamism stands. It has been called the wealth without which you cannot really be wealthy. It manifests itself in many ways. It is the freedom from negative forces which may take possession of the mind and from any negative attitudes, worry, and inferiority. It is freedom from any feeling or want. It is freedom from self-induced mental and physical ailments of the kind which chronically degrade life. It is freedom from all fears, especially the seven basic fears we shall expose in all their ugliness. It is freedom from the common human weakness of seeking something for nothing. It is with this possession of the joy of work and accomplishment. It is the habit of doing one's self, doing one's own thinking. It is the habit of checking one's attitude toward life and towards one fellow man. It also has the adjustment these attitudes for the better. It is the habit of helping others to help themselves. It is freedom from anxiety over what may happen to you after you die. It is the habit of going the extra mile in all human relationships. It is the habit of in thinking in terms of what you wish to do instead of thinking the obstacles which may get in your way. It is the habit of laughing at the petty misfortunes which may overtake you. It is the habit of giving more than trying to get. Peace of mind covers a surprisingly broad field, doesn't it? In every way you use it, it helps you win money, success, and more. Peace of mind helps you to live your life on your own terms and values and your own choosing, so that every day your life grows richer and greater. This volume was written by a man who has found peace of mind the hard way by trial and error. His purpose is to help others find their own peace of mind along with money, success by a shorter and less costly route. If some of the episodes seem ultra personal, please remember that it is the seemingly small events of a man's life which make up the greater portion of his experiences. In my own personal experiences, you may see your own. Notice how small experiences consider both success and failure. They're the first testing ground in which you are given the opportunity to prove that you're the master of your fate, you're the captain of your soul. I realize that nobody wishes to take medicine prescribed by a doctor who does not take himself when seeking the benefits he proclaims. The medicine given herein is the medicine proved by its marvelous effect upon myself and thousands of others. Thanks to circumstances, I've had the aid of more than 500 of the most successful men in America. These men allow me to go behind the curtains of their private lives and see for myself both their good qualities and their weaknesses, their successes and their failures, how they enjoyed it or did not enjoy using their money, how this factor related itself to their possession or non-possession of peace of mind. It was the science of personal achievement built on my interviews and research that I have helped thousands of men and women whip poverty, wipe out the effects of negatively conditioned childhood, solve problems, rise above circumstances which held them back. And let me say, I did this many years after I myself had risen above a heritage of five evils. You may know of them, some of them: poverty, ignorance, fear, illiteracy, and hopelessness. As a youngster, I was often hungry. There was a time when I ate bark I scraped off birch trees. Until I reached my teens, I continued to be hungry. I'm still hungry, not for physical food, but for mental food, food for searching mind, which still seeks to know more about why some men succeed and some fail. Some have inward peace, and some have inward conflict, but I have left my childhood handicaps far behind. There came a time when one of the world's richest men, Andrew Carnegie, backed me in a plan to find the secrets of money success and life success. I have been an advisor to three state presidents: William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, and Franklin D. Roosevelt, and I helped the first president of the Philippines to attain freedom for his people, Manuel Quezon, the Philippines. There was a period in which I courted fame. I craved for it. I prayed for it and worked endlessly to achieve it. At long last, my mail came from all over the world, sackfuls, more than I ever could read, let alone answer. Promoters looking for my cooperation came by the score. Merchants offered me all kinds of credit, and many offered to buy my endorsement of their wares. My tastes now are different. It was when I found that I wanted any sleep I could not have a telephone registered in my name that I began to appreciate peace of mind. Yet while I courted fame, I never stopped writing. Book followed book and effort, my effort to tell the world that I had learned about success, about the value of positive state of mind, about human relations. Here is a list of the books I have written: The Law of Success, 8 volumes; Think and Grow Rich, How to Sell Your Way Through Life; The Master Key to Riches, How to Raise Your Own Salary; Mental Dynamite, 16 volumes, Science of Personal Achievement, and a 17-lesson course now being taught in home study in local class groups in the US and many other countries. The passing years have helped me judge that the value of these books engage their effect on their readers. They have helped hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions, to build lives of happiness and success. I've been interested all this while in finding out which of the many items of advice have turned out to be most useful and most universal application. I've checked carefully to see which antidotes and types of antidotes have provided the upward turning point at which a man finds himself, and it goes. This book represents, in a part, a careful choice of items which have stood the test of time. In reading these items, you will know why they, in particular, has something which takes hold in the mind and builds in the power of the mind to the will best it finds it. Also, you'll find much of that is new. The world changes not in principle, but in certain aspects which bring different kinds of opportunities seeking man. More money-making opportunities have arisen in the United States during the past 2 decades than existed in all our previous history, and still they swarm thick and fast. You will acquire a vast vision of these opportunities as you read this book. You'll find, if you have read my previous works, that this one has a new, different objective, emphasizing values which money alone cannot buy. All of my books show in many ways that there's more into life than making money. This book proves the point far more than fully than I was able to prove it years ago, and shows too that peace of mind in itself is a mighty force in helping you to make money. I've said this book has been nearly 70 years in the planning. Quite true, but until recently I did not know it. But I believe we are all guided in invisible sources of inspiration, and recently there came to me inspiration from a strange and very real source, revealing how much of my life has been spent in preparing to write these pages, urging me to undercover my typewriter and get to work. The man who speaks to you is in his 80s. His life remains full and hearty. His possessions, of which he surely is enough, have not taken away the thrill of accomplishment. The book is the first step of accomplishment. The best of the accomplishment comes in knowing that this book will bring wealth and happiness to those who read it and think. I'm ready now to write more clearly and maturely than ever was possible to me before. Join me, and we'll go on a fascinating journey together, a journey toward riches, a journey toward the fulfillment of your dearest dreams, a journey toward a supreme secret which gives you the mastery of life itself. Napoleon Hill, 1967. And now I'm going to read you a section from Think and Grow Rich with a Peace of Mind. This is on from chapter 12. It's called You're Very Important for a Little While. It says, your success is yours to make or break, but it never can be bigger than mankind. No matter how high you heap your fortune, in the end, it counts for nothing. A successful life leaves in its own monuments. In the jungle of life, we walk alone and we beset the dangers. But within our minds, we keep the means to defeat the mind's enemies, build powers of true wealth and abiding happiness. We walk alone, yet there is evidence that we are watched from a world beyond our senses. Even this mysterious world is concerned with guiding us to wealth now, to peace of mind now. This part is from the chapter. You are very important for a little while, and this is powerful. It has a lot of spiritual wisdom in this, and based on Napoleon Hill's um, true experience, and he calls it the through the jungle of life with unseen watchers. I want to read to you from it. You know, this book has been nearly 70 years in the making. As I write the book, he's about. As I read this book, he's saying that basically he's about 84 years old when he's writing this book. I have intimated in those decades I do not know. I would write a book which equates wealth with peace of mind, but somehow I thought I would. Obviously, I could not write it as a young man, or not even as a 50-year-old man, for I had not gathered the necessary experience. Obviously, I cannot write it either until I had learned well and tested thoroughly every bit of advice I give. That advice is being tested in many lives besides my own, and the stories I tell brim with life lessons you'll learn for yourself, which is the best way to learn them. Now and again, I have had evidence that unseen friends hover above me, unknowable to ordinary senses. In my studies, I discovered there is a group of strangers, beings who maintain a school of wisdom which must be 10,000 years old. But I did not connect with them myself. Now I have found there is a connection. I am not one of them, but I have been watched by them, and here's I have found it out. I finished this book, and then one day I knew the time had come to write this book. Perhaps the pre-fieldness I had had at the time, during which I had outlined the book, was planned by those others to draw my mind away from the day-to-day affairs. I wrote the book enjoying it as one enjoys the labor of love. It took a number of months during which I felt highly alive and happy. I completed the last chapter and still sat before my typewriter, musing on what I had written. Ultimately, nothing matters, I thought. Yet it is good to have achieved that which the mind has conceived for such a long time. I was alone in my study, and all very still. A voice spoke. I saw nobody. I cannot tell you whence the voice came. First it spoke a password known to few men, then riveted my attention. I have come, said the voice, to give you one more section to include in your book. In writing this section, you may cause some readers to disbelieve you. You will write honestly, and many will believe and be benefited. The world has been given many philosophers by which men are prepared for death, but you have been chosen to give mankind a philosophy by which men are prepared for happy living. I whispered, who are you? In a softened voice which sounded like chimes of a great music, the unseen speaker replied, I come from the great school of the masters. I am one of the council of 33 who serve the great school and its initiates of the physical plane. The great school of masters. This is the school of wisdom which has persisted secretly in the Himalayas for 10,000 years, sometimes known as the Venerable Brotherhood of Ancient India. It is the great central reservoir of religious, philosophical, moral, physical, and spiritual physical knowledge. Patiently, this school strives to lift mankind from its spiritual infancy and darkness to maturity of soul and final illumination. From the remotest days of antiquity, the masters of the great school have communicated with each other by telepathy. Even eventually, they met and organized themselves into the world's oldest association. These masters, says J. Richardson in the Great Message, are the great teachers who, through all human history, have not only declared their personal knowledge of another life, but have made their personal demonstration of their knowledge in such a manner as to leave no possible doubt in their minds, their disciples or students, as to the fact of the personal knowledge. The great school of the masters have always exercised its powers for that constructive unfolding of the individual human intelligence in harmony with man's unchangeable control over his individual power of thought. The masters believe that this great prerogative, which has been reserved for man alone, provides man with the means by which he may largely control his earthly destiny. The school has masters who can disembody themselves and travel instantly to any place they choose in order to acquire essential knowledge or to give knowledge directly by voice to anyone else, meaning that they are omnipresent, omniscient. Now I know that one of these masters had come across thousands of miles through the night into my study. The master continues to speak. After having paused to allow my time in which to collect my thoughts, the master continued in the same great musical voice, which surely would have resounded through the house and had been audible to my ears alone. I shall not set down every word he said, but shall include the gist of his message. Much of what he said already has been presented to you in the chapters of the book, or will follow in other chapters. You have to earn the right to reveal the supreme secret to others in a vibrant voice. In the journey through life, there is a jungle of life, a black forest through which every individual must pass alone. In the black forest, he overcomes enemies of his own inner opposition and turmoil. The black forest helps us to refinement to the soul man through struggle and resistance, so that soul may return to the great internal reservoir, which has emerged and become part of an infinite intelligence. You have been under the guidance of the great school, but you have been your own master. You have passed through the jungle of life safely. Now you must give to the world a blueprint with which others may traverse that same black forest. And now I shall name the enemies who must be met and conquered in the journey. The foremost is fear. The next great enemy is greed. Next is intolerance, egotism, lust, anger, hatred, jealousy, impatience, deceit, and falsehood, insincerity, vanity, cruelty, mercilessness, injustice, slander, gossip, independently, dishonesty, disloyalty, revenge, worry, envy, hypochondria, indecision. There are other enemies of man, the master said, but who conquered these 26 will conquer all the others. Know that one seeks earnestly to conquer these 26 lurking enemies because in the initiate of the great school, we know him and he has access to the mind of the master. The means of communication is telepathy. The initiate may at times convey his need for instructions through what is commonly known as prayer. What happens at the end of the great journey? The master explained when the initiate has truly conquered all the 26 enemies of success, peace, and harmony, he will have seen a communication from a master of the great school, and he will be assured of his success in having passed through the jungle, and he will receive definite instructions for his future conduct. First, he'll be shown that a reasonable part of his time is to be devoted to directing others who are struggling to pass through the jungle and to helping his fellow man in every other possible way. He will know already that a benefit to others benefit himself, but now he will realize those benefits to their fullest measure. Second, he will be given the power to handle all adversities, so their eventual benefit to him always is revealed, and he is conscious of the power to turn adversity into benefit. Third, the initiate who masters the 26 enemies of the man will quickly recognize the nature and purpose of any special mission to which he may be assigned in the future, and he always will have the courage to carry out that mission. The master went on quickly. The initiate retains the power to neglect or deny any of these requirements, but should he do so, the penalty may be the complete revocation of the powers he has gained through many years of devoted effort. The powers include great blessings. Hope, faith, and courage to carry out any desirable objective. The master concludes his message. Another pause in the deep silence, and the master said, "You will not only understand the true purpose of life, but also you will have its command the power to fulfill that purpose without having to experience another incarnation on this earthly plane. And the masters of the great school on this earthly plane and all their planes will rejoice at his triumph and will bid him Godspeed toward his own mastership. His cycle toward mastership will not have ended, but he will have spread before him the chart by which to navigate successfully." The voice ended. I began to hear little sounds of the world around me, and I knew the master had returned to the great school of the masters. The inherent lesson in a few words. Ultimately, nothing matters. Read once more and see how much of the master's message is concerned with here and now, the time in which we ensure by ourselves whether life will reward us or punish us, whether we will win our dreams or die unfulfilled. Notice the several ways in which we are enjoying not to become too meanly important. The important is a big show of or power, which counts as nothing in the scheme of things and can destroy health and happiness. As for the ultimate beyond our earthly ultimates, we see a vision of great reservoir of life spirit, but we are not enjoined to walk in awe, nor to walk apart from the affairs of life in some kind of self-assumed sainthood. Goodness in life dissolves upon living, and life is not planned as a bed of roses, but as a wholehearted adventure in training oneself to know when to enjoy the good. Already you are qualified to use the supreme secret in many ways, as you soon you shall know it. If you not know it, you will see why this is so. In the jungle of life, there's unseen guidance. The author based much of this book upon a revelation from the great school of the masters that have lived in the Himalayan mountains for over 10,000 years, and they're in the ancient brotherhood of India. 26 enemies lie in wait in the jungle of life. Defeat them, and you acquire a new ability to live a life of peace, abundance, and success and enjoyment. And that concludes the mystery of the great school of the masters. Hope you enjoyed reading it and gained some insight and knowledge. I love you. God bless. Namaste. And I'll see you next time on the daily reading.